adults. That's according to data from Stats Canada, which also found that the average length of marriages ending in divorce has climbed past the 15-year mark, with older couples increasingly becoming the ones who call it quits. Joining us this morning with our latest Legal Insiders installment are lawyers Laurence, Klass and Shashika Stanislaus from Watson Gopal. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. So, Laurence, I'll start with you. What exactly is grey divorce? That's
an interesting question. This is a trend of couples over 50 that have often been together for decades choosing to divorce.
Okay, and so what makes, based on your work with clients, Shashika, why do you think they happen amongst older couples?
Well, I think there's a variety of reasons for that. I mean, one of the easiest reasons that we see grey divorces is because societal opinions have changed. Divorce has become much more common and much more accepted in society. And so you're starting to see that. But in terms of the grey divorce, as the statistic that you mentioned earlier, we see that couples are getting married later in life. And so in the same sense, also, couples are getting divorced later in life. And then there's also the financial part of it.
Right.
We see that a lot of the wealth is being accumulated by the previous baby boomer generation. And so there's a lot more wealth that at the end of a relationship that can be divided up. And so that's why you see people who have the ability now to be much more self-sufficient without having to necessarily be in a partnership.
Okay, understandable. So, Laurence, what makes grey divorces legally different or maybe a little bit more challenging from divorces that happen earlier in life?
Because following on from what Shashika has said, they've had decades to accumulate wealth. And often, for example, the family home, that would have increased in value. The mortgage would have been paid off. There may be a rental property. They've built up investments over the years. And so they've got to look to see how that's going to be divided. They also have to take into account different circumstances, such as preparing for, or they may be in retirement. They may be looking at what happens with their health. And the other factor, a big factor that needs to be considered as well, is they more likely than not will have adult children. So the issue of parenting doesn't crop up, or the fights over parenting and or child support. So often, because somebody has more money and it's more, the issues surrounding division of property are more complex, that can actually it can take more time and actually can cost more in legal fees.
Yeah, and that's why it's probably smart to have a good family lawyer by your side, because if you can get it done in a more efficient way, you'll probably end up costing yourself a lot less.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much for your time with us this morning.
Thank you.
If you're looking for further legal advice on grey divorce or a number of different subject matters, you can head online to Watson Gopal's website to schedule a consultation and get your questions answered. Thank you both again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.